All right, so this is pretty crazy. So it appears that the artist, the singer of the song Men North of Richmond, the recent absolute hit, smash hit, has actually come out actually condemning the GOP for what he believes is essentially stealing his song. Check this out.
It's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me like I'm one of them. It's aggravating seeing certain musicians and politicians act like we're buddies and act like we're fighting the same struggle here, like that we're trying to present the same message. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've tried to be polite to everybody, and I've talked to hundreds of people the last 2 weeks. But it seems like certain people want to just ride the attention of this song to maybe make them their own selves relevant, and that's aggravating as hell. The other thing that I find aggravating is it was funny seeing my song in the. It was funny seeing it at the presidential debate, because it's like I wrote that song about those people, So for them to have to sit there and listen to that cracks me up. But it was funny kind of seeing the response to it. Like, that song has nothing to do with Joe Biden, It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden. That song is written about the people on that stage, and a lot more too, not just them, but definitely them.
So this is one of the more bizarre stories of recent time, because I had even made a video a couple of days ago that ended up getting raided by some of his fans. But basically, I'd made a video talking about how it appears that this was like manufactured by big tech, like big conservative tech, and so there was some evidence that he had basically been an industry plant as opposed to being a genuine smash hit, which is really important, especially because of sort of the ethos of this song was essentially is this populist anthem that every populist can come around, etc., etc. And it appears that he's now coming out actually against sort of the right wing as a whole, and he's basically saying that they're co-opting his song for their own personal purposes. And he had actually gotten into some trouble as well. These are just some, he had made a comment saying that we are like a melting pot of the world, and like we need to embrace that as opposed to being against that kind of thing and making that a weakness. Instead, let's make that our strength. So you can see some of these. This is just straight up that's just straight up just straight up anti-Semitic stuff with the parentheses. We're a melting pot of the world that's to make stronger diversity. Such a letdown. Did he sell out already to the Men North of Richmond? So it's like literally we're to the point now where there's like conservatives are literally getting angry at someone saying that we're a melting pot, the melting pot of the world. Is like diversity is our strength. So it's interesting the way that he's come out at this point. But obviously, it's crazy that he's actually coming out against the conservatives. He's also, if you go to his Twitter page, he basically said that he's not like a political guy. Like, he's not a political dude. Like, his music is not outright political. And he actually had said that the minors comment he had made, which is an obvious reference to Jeffrey Epstein, was actually talking about Trump. I don't know if it was exclusively talking about Trump, but he definitely said it at least was talking about Trump at least, and maybe in addition more to that. But it seems, I guess, he's just genuinely not political. And so it definitely adds a lot. I'm a little bit ambivalent on what's kind of going on here, because I respect his sort of coming out and doing this, because if this were like, this is an easy cash grab moment to just become like a cash cow for the right wing, make tons of money, get super popular, he could just completely go on that. And so I have to give him a lot of credit for, assuming he's being honest here, for sort of coming out and being like, okay, like I'm not this right-wing guy, I'm not going to just associate with this, because he could have definitely done like a Dave Rubin or whatever, where it's like, hey, it's a lot of money, notoriety, not notoriety, it's the wrong word, but popularity that you could use and just to get money. And so there's a lot of respect in that, him basically coming out and saying that I'm not that. And he's saying, and I'm also trying to decode what exactly he's saying here, because in the video, he's really saying, he says it straight up that the song was about the people on the Republican debate stage. And he says it's not about Biden, but he's saying it's bigger than Biden. So I'm thinking, I guess he's kind of trying to come from a perspective of just like a sort of everyday, like minor perspective, like that very specific, like white working class kind of person, like Rust Belt person, but not like outright political. Or it seems that You see, if I were like a legitimate person who was like some kind of, making a song about, or like a representative of the movement, or part of sort of this kind of group of people who was like these, minors, like someone like that, and then big conservative tech tried coming in and just trying to co-opt me for my message and my movement and all that stuff, I would be pissed too. In fact, the person who came out saying that this was fake, that I had reported on, was someone who was in the MAGA camp, because it's just like, okay, dude, it was the rise of it was so obviously fake. It obviously wasn't actually legitimate or organic. And then, it just kind of comes out, all this stuff is starting to come out. And so this is definitely one of the more bizarre stories. I said ambivalence because, he just sent, I saw a tweet from him saying that, oh, no one ever thinks about the coal miners. Like, dude, all anybody ever thinks about is the coal miners. That's literally it. Entire presidential campaigns are literally dedicated to pandering to the Rust Belts. And I think it's time we kind of nip that in the bud, where it's like this weird white victim complex where it's like, oh man, these jobs that not only destroy the environment, they also destroy your body and health and are horrible jobs for you. You should work a different job. And that's how everybody else has to live their life. But I guess if you're white, it's like the economy, you don't adapt to the economy adapts to you depending upon what your skin color is. And so if you're black and you're moving to, change jobs to work in the Great Migration, for example, coming up north from the South, white people are going to run away and you're going to be penalized, right? That's why we have, our urban-suburban divide now. It comes from the Great Migration and white flight, right? And so it's this weird thing. And so I find that to be cringe, but I heavily respect him in this situation in terms of him just kind of coming out and being like, hey, this is not what I'm standing for. This is a genuine thing, because he definitely could have very easily just sort of jumped on it and just been this sort of easy sort of Dave Rubin-like shark or something like that. And so I'm very surprised about this, and I guess he's saying, the only thing outside of the kind of cringiness of like the weird like coal miner thing, whatever, the like cringy victim complex thing, was like there was the comments about the welfare people or whatever, and I guess supposedly that's supposed to be a comment talking about like rich people. Maybe the sort of overweight people getting the fudge thing or whatever was sort of a metaphor for the overweight people, maybe literally or figuratively or both, being sort of like these wealthy people who are like overweight on a lot of money and who are abusing welfare for their personal tax cuts, etc. Maybe that's what it was. I don't really know. Outside of that comment, I don't even know. Even if you're a progressive, I don't know. Outside of a general ethos, I don't know what you really could have objected to in the song. And so the song itself wasn't really problematic, but it did end up being the case. It did at least appear so, at least according to a lot of the evidence that we saw, that this song, its rise was inorganic and it was essentially fake. But a very bizarre situation, and yeah, I don't know. Very, very weird one. I don't know if we've ever seen a situation like this before. He's kind of trying to triangulate here and rise above politics, it seems. And I give him credit because he's going to lose basically all of his fan base. He has basically nothing now, I would say, in terms of obviously there will be something a little bit right now, but once that hype dies down, it's going to be a wrap for him. And he definitely could have easily gone the Dave Rubin route, but he decided not to. So I definitely give him credit for that. But let me know your thoughts on this whole situation, because this whole thing is just completely insane.